right, good morning everyone. So today we're going to pursue our lectures from yesterday. Do you have any question regarding what we studied yesterday? Everything goes okay? Everything understood? All right. So امبارح وصلنا هون للlysosomes, and we said that this is an organelle which has only one membrane. All right, it's not a double membrane. All right, and you said also that it has a lot of enzymes inside. All right, and these enzymes, they work only in acidic pH, and we said also that this pH, it is created by this pump اللي موجودة في الممbrane, which pump the proton from the cytoplasm and put them inside the lysosomes, which make the pH decrease. All right. So now we comes to what we call the function of lysosomes. شو دور lysosomes inside the eukaryotic cells? Very simple. It's, we can say in only one word, non-selective degradations. Okay. شو معناها non-selective؟ يعني أي شيء which has to be degraded. All right. It's non-selective. All right. It will be degraded by the lysosomes. لأنه in eukaryotic cells you have to know we have two types of degradation. عندنا selective وعندنا non-selective. The non-selective ensured by the lysosomes. The selective, it will be ensured by another organelle. We're gonna not study it, which call it the proteasome. راح تدرسوه مع الدكتورة ديبا. All right. So here we are going to talk about the non-selective. مع الدكتورة ديبا, you will talk about the selective degradations. Okay. So the non-selective degradation, it is ensured by the lysosomes. يعني there is two functions. يا إما what we call the phagocytosis or the autophagy. So phagocytosis, anything which enter inside the cells, any foreign bodies يدخل inside the cells, it will be, we can say, engulfed, okay, in a vesicle like this. We can call them even suicidal bag, okay, and everything which will be inside this suicidal bag, it will be degraded, okay. The same thing for the autophagy. Autophagy شو معناها؟ بياكل حالة. The cells, it will eat itself. All right. شو معناها؟ يعني anything that it is damaged inside the cells, anything which is not anymore functional, so the cells needs to take rid of it. Okay. لازم تتخلص منه. So how we'll do that? It will be by the lysosome. نفس الشيء. It will engulf this material, this unwanted material, and it will be degraded. Okay. واضح؟ All right. There is some diseases which we call them lysosomal storage disorder. These diseases, they are caused by a defect or the absence of the enzymes اللي موجودين in the lysosomes. Okay, so الانزيمز اللي يكونوا موجودين في lysosomes, they are defective, they are non-functional, so they will not ensure their function. So what happened for this? So anything, it will be inside, we can say inside these lysosomes, it will not be degraded, all right? So we're going to have accumulations of fat inside of this, we can say, of these lysosomes. So راح يصير for these cells, they will swell, يكبروا, ينتفخوا, all right, by the accumulations of the lipids inside of it. وهذا it will lead to the dysfunctions of the organ. Okay, ما عاد رح يشتغل الorgan. All right. So one of the example of lysosomal storage disorder, لأنه there is a lot. One of them, we call them Tay-Sachs disease. It's due to accumulations of lipids in the neuron cells. All right. ما في enzymes in the lysosomes. So we're going to have no digestions or no degradations of the lipids inside the neuron cells. So what happened in these neuron cells? We're going to have accumulations, all right, of this lipids in the nerve cells. وهذا يخلي إنه the nerve cells, they will be damaged. Okay? واضح؟ All right. So we move to the last organelle, which is called the peroxisome. يعني من الصورة بتشوفوا يشبه شوي the lysosome. All right. It's also only one membrane. It's not double membrane. It is a smaller, and the enzymes, they are different. يعني الenzymes which are in the peroxisome, they are different from the enzymes which are in the peroxisomes. Okay. There is a multiple of enzymes. One of them, the most important one, this enzyme, it is called catalase. I'm sure one of them in biology, they study it, the catalase. All right. So this catalase, what is its function? It's detoxification of the body. It's we can say, the decompositions of a chemical, we can say, the product, which is called H2O2, اللي هو peroxide, hydrogen peroxides. Okay. So this, we can say, chemical component, it is a metabolic product that our body synthesizes. And during the metabolic reaction اللي الجسم يسويها, we can produce the hydrogen peroxide. لكن الهيدروجين peroxide هذا, it's very harmful for our body. لأنه, for example, he can lead to hemorrhage. He can lead to the destructions of the membrane of the vessels. Okay? وهذا يخلي فيه hemorrhage. All right? And so that's why if the body produces this H2O2, we need to get rid of it. Okay, لازم نتخلص منه. So the enzymes which will degrade your H2O2 is the catalase. راح تحوله into water and oxygen. Okay, so بتسوي له decompositions. All right. So the functions of the peroxisome, as we said, detoxifications of the body from the H2O2. There is another functions راح تدرسوها في البايوكيمستري اللي هي الاوكسيديشنز of the fatty acids اللي عندهم very long hydrocarbon chain. All right. So we're gonna study this in biochemistry in the lipid sections, and you will see that you're gonna have like short fatty acids, medium, and you're gonna have long fatty acids. يعني the hydrocarbon chain بيكون أكثر من 20 كربون. All right. So these fatty acids, to be, we can say, oxidized, to be degraded, they have to pass by the peroxisomes. يعني the first steps, it will pass by the peroxisome وبعدين بتروح لمنطقة أخرى. Okay, I will not go through the details. Just keep in mind oxidation of very long chain fats. Okay. The last functions is the productions of bile, is the productions of cholesterol. All right. So it's very important also for the metabolism of lipids. All right. Zellweger syndrome, it's another disease, and this disease, it is due to a lack of peroxisomes. وإلا the enzymes which are inside this peroxisome, they are non-functional. All right. So this syndrome or this disease, what will happen? We're going to have accumulation of fat, نفس القصة, accumulation of fat inside the cells. We're going to not have a detoxifications لأنه ما فيه الكاتاليز which will degrade your H2O2. So شو راح يصير? So this individual, they cannot survive, لما يولدوا. So they will not survive more than 6 months, and then they will die. So it's really a life-threatening syndrome. All right. All right. So this is the last, we can say, slide. I'm not going through it, as we will have a whole lectures tomorrow about the cytoskeleton. So we're going to see really the detail of the details of the cytoskeleton. But we need to mention it as a part, of the eukaryotic cells. The cytoskeleton is a kind, as we said, of network. وقلنا هو it will determine the positions of the organelle. Remember? لما حكينا قلنا الأورجانيل, they don't float in the cytoplasm. They are not free to move inside the cytoplasm. They have their own. We can set position, and this position, it is determined by the cytoskeleton. So the cytoskeleton, we have three main types. We have the microtubules, we're going to have the intermediate filament, and then we're going to have the microfilament. So tomorrow, we're going to study them one by one. All right? Do you have questions? Clear? We move to our lecture today? Okay, yeah. So our lecture today is cell membrane, all right? So everybody knows what is a cell membrane, right? So how you can define cell membrane? Yes, it's a barrier. Yes, what else? Semi-permeable, perfect. Yes, what else? Yes, correct. What else? I need to know what you know. That's it? Yes? Yes, bilayer. What else? Yes, of course, it's a barrier. Yes. What else? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Separate the inner and outside environment to the cell.
Correct. Yes?
Transport up and store.
In and out. All right. So this is, we can say, the role, we can say, of the membrane. So the membrane is just, we can say, it's a layer. We're going to see the components of this membrane, which will separate the inside of the cell, which we call it the intracellular fluid, from the outside, what we call the extracellular fluid. So it's a kind of barrier between the intracellular fluid and the outside. Outside, which we call it extracellular fluid, all right? And as one of the colleagues, he said, this membrane is semi-permeable. Yani it will not allow all the molecules to go in and out from this, through this membrane, all right? It is selective. It is semi-permeable. It is permeable for some and non-permeable for others, okay? So this is one. Again, our membrane, it is semi-permeable, as we said, and it is selective for certain molecule. هذا يخلي إنه ال concentrations of the extracellular fluid والintracellular fluid يختلف, right? صح ولا لا؟ So بما أنه في selections, this molecule go inside, this molecule will not go inside. So the concentration of the outside, it will be different from the inside. This is what will create what we call a gradient, okay? This is a gradient which is created by this difference of concentrations of these molecules. واضح? Is it clear? All right. There is another function also for the cell membrane, which is called cell signaling. You know that the cells, they are, adherent. They are close to each other, and these cells, they communicate, all right? مو كل واحدة لحالة, all right? There is a communications, and this communication, this is what you call the cell signaling, all right? There is transmission of the informations between the different types of cells. All right, so what are the different components of the cell membrane? من شو متكونة؟ Lipids, proteins, and carbohydrate. Excellent. So we have three major components. Of course, there is others, but the main one هما lipids, هما البروتين, and then the carbohydrate. So we're going to study this component one by one. Okay. All right. We're going to start by the lipids. Lipids, there is three types. عندنا الفوسفوليبيدز, عندنا الكوليسترول, وعندنا الجلايكوليبيدز. All right. So in the membrane, we're going to have the three components. All right. So let's start by the phospholipid. Do you know what is a phospholipid? Yes. Phospho? Phosphate group attached. Yes. It has? Huh? Yes, phosphate and lipids. That's it. In terms of structures, do you have an idea? Structurally.
It contains an aldehyde and sulfate.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It can be, yes, correct. But it can be also both unsaturated and both saturated. So generally, the phospholipids بيكون متكون من glycerol, which is an alcohol. This is the function of it. This is the structure. The chemical structure is CH2OH, CHOH, and CH2OH. This is the structures of a glycerol. It's an alcohol, all right? To this glycerol, we're going to attach a phosphate group. So that's why it's phospholipids, all right? And بما أنه it's a lipid, so we need to attach a fatty acids, okay? So we're going to have two fatty acids which are attached to the carbon 2 and carbon 3. وفي الكربون 1, carbon 1, carbon 2, في الكربون 3 we're going to have the phosphate group, all right? So here we can set the composition, general composition of the phospholipid. And the alcohol, this is like a backbone to which will be attached phosphate and two fatty acids. هذا يصنعني الفوسفوليبيد. This is in general. You will study this in biochemistry in details, okay? But this is what we call specifically glycerophospholipid. To mention اللي هو glycerol, اللي فما الglycerol in their structures. But here we don't go through the detail. Just phospholipid, I have a glycerol, and I have also two fatty acids attached to it and a phosphate group. واضح? Okay. So this structures we can say of phospholipids. Usually the scientists they represent it like that. It's a head and a tail. All right. So the tail is this one. It's the fatty acids. Okay. The tail, it is represented by the two fatty acids which are attached, and the head, it will be your glycerol and the phosphate, okay? And if there is any other molecule also which is attached to the phosphate, okay? So the hydrophobic part, which is the tail, hydrophobic, تعرف شو معناها hydrophobic? Yes? Huh? كاره للماء. So it's keep water, isn't like water, right? It's hydrophobic, all right? على عكس hydrophilic. Hydrophilic, this is the head. The head is hydrophilic, and it is represented by the phosphate and the glycerol, all right? So عندي two regions in this phospholipid. عندي hydrophilic region, and I have hydrophobic region, right? عندي منطقتين. So بما أنه it has hydrophilic regions and hydrophobic region, بنسمي الفوسفوليبيد amphipathic. Okay? Amphipathic يعني عنده two region, one hydrophilic and one hydrophobic. واضح? Clear? Is it clear in the back? All right. So now when you put these phospholipids, this head and this tail, you put it in an aqueous, we can say medium, in the water, so they will dispose or they will be arranged in two layers, all right? This is what we call the phospholipids bilayer. This is what will constitute your membrane, all right? So the membrane, it is composed by two layers of phospholipid. There is an outer layer and inner layer. And in these dispositions, on the outer and the inner, all the hydrophilic, they will be extended out. وكل the one which are escaping the water, which are hydrophobic, they will be inside. Okay? So the hydrophilic head, it will extend out to the watery environment. However, the tail here, which are hydrophobic, so they will extend inside. بيكونوا متخبين من ال watery environment. Okay? واضح? So this is the structures of the membrane. It's a phospholipid bilayer. Bilayer يعني there is two layer. One layer, outer and inner layer. Alright? So these phospholipids عندهم خاصية إنه they can move. Okay? Imagine you have something like that. Okay? So as if you have these tails and the head and they can move. So this movement, it can be lateral, okay, like this, or it can be transverse. شو معناها transverse؟ نسميوه كمان yes? Yes. كانهم ينقلبوا flip flop. يعني اللي يكون في الأوتر بيصير في الإنر. flip flop. اوكي؟ هذا هو اللي يكون في الإنر بيصير في الأوتر واللي في الأوتر يصير في الإنر. So there is this kind of movement that the phospholipid can do. All right? We're going to have a lateral movement and you have the flip-flop, or we call it a transverse movement. Okay? واضح؟ So هذا بيخلي إنه our membrane, it is fluid. All right? It's not a structure which is rigid. Okay? فيها تتحرك. All right? Yes, you have question? What? Naturally? Laterally? كيف نسميها بالعربي laterally؟
جانبيا.
يعني هيك يعني يتحركوا هيك. ما بعرف كيف يقولها بالعربي.
يتحرك بشكل جانبي.
اي بشكل جانبي. alright? So هيك يعني كأنه واحد يتحرك هيك. You see to my movement, alright? والآخر يعمل هيك. Okay? Flip flop. Sorry, sometimes I cannot find the right word in Arabic. Yeah? شو هو؟ دايما الهيد والتيل they will not change. Always the head facing the watery والتيل بيكون متخبي. وحتى لما ينقلب the head it will facing the watery والتيل. There is no, it's just the position كامل. الفوسفوليبيد كله يتغير يروح من الفوق للinner. Alright? From the outer to the inner. Okay? Is it clear? Have questions? Alright. Alright. So now when I have to, I have two bilayer, all right? And we said that our molecule, our membrane, it is permeable for some and non-permeable for others molecules, right? So it is selective. So حسب رأيكم, which types of molecule will be allowed to go inside, your membrane? They can pass through your membrane without any difficulty. Non-polar, yes. Gases, okay. Protein, no. No. Water. All right. So we are not asking about example. So as your colleague said, non-polar. شو معناها non-polar? Do you know شو معناها polar, non-polar? Yes? Hydrophobic. Yes. And polar شو معناها? Charged, non-charged. Polar معناها charged, non-polar معناها non-charged molecules. Okay? So the molecule which are hydrophobic, like your colleague said, they can cross your membrane without any issues. They can diffuse, they can pass, there is no obstacle at all. Alright? لأنه احنا الموليكيول هذه it is hydrophobic, so it needs to escape the watery environment. Alright? So لازم تدخل inside the cells. Alright? So the cells inside of it, تعرفوا اللي the inside of the membrane is also hydrophobic, right? It's non-polar, so there is no problem. They can pass, all right? However, the molecules which are hydrophilic, like glucose or whatever, these molecules, they will be very, it will be very difficult, for them to pass, all right? هما على أول شيء هما they are hydrophilic, so they like the environment where they are outside, all right? So they don't want to go inside. However, for example, you know that the cells need glucose. So لازم يدخل الجلوكوز. All right? So for that, there is a structures, there is protein inside the membrane, which will allow the passage of the molecules inside. All right? يعني الهيدروفوبيك diffusion, simple diffusion, no problem, no obstacle. However, the hydrophilic, they need assistance. Okay? They need carrier, they need transporter, they need, you know, any other things that allows them to go inside. Okay? واضح؟
Can the small molecules, the polar one, pass?
يعني but it will be very difficult لأنه inside it's hydrophilic, it's not charged. Okay? And to pass لازم يكون في interaction of charge. All right? So here it's not charged يعني it will be. But the smaller size maybe they can escape, but it's very, very, very difficult. Okay? Yes. To cytoplasm. Hey, يدخل للcytoplasm. Okay? Yes. Once what? البولر هما charged molecules والnon polar هما non charged molecules. Okay? Alright, so we move to the second types of lipids اللي موجود في الممbrane, which is called the cholesterol. Alright? Cholesterol, as it is shown here in the figure, it is represented by the yellow structures, as you can see here. And كما تشوفوا هون في الصورة, the cholesterol بيكون in between the phospholipids. Alright? بيناتهم. And the structures, general structures, متكون هالكوليسترول from two regions. Okay? عندنا hydrophilic regions وعندي hydrophobic region. So the cholesterol is called amphipathic. Okay? لأنه عنده two regions, one hydrophilic and one hydrophilic, like the phospholipids. So this region which is hydrophilic شو تسوي؟ It will interact with the hydrophilic regions of the phospholipids. Okay? Hydrophilic مع الهيدروفيليك. Alright? So the OH, it will interact with the phospholipids. The tail, نسميه احنا هذا the tail of the cholesterol or the hydrophobic region of the cholesterol. هذه, it will interact with the tail of the phospholipids. معقول, right? So hydrophilic interact with the hydrophilic with the head of the phospholipids, and the tail of the phospholipid, it will interact with the hydrophobic regions of the cholesterol. Okay? Clear? All right, so what is the function of cholesterol? ليش عندنا cholesterol in the membrane? Phospholipid is not enough? Yes? العكس. As if it's kind of obstacle. مش ينقص الفلويديتي، ينقص التحرك تبع الممبرين. Yes. Very good. Yes. What else? Regulate?
Related to temperature.
كيف يعني؟ Related to
Viscosity and fluidity.
Yes. هذا الفلويديتي بعدين. Yes. Huh? Okay, yes. فيه, but not like you said, but it's correct. So the function of the cholesterol شوفوا موجود between الفوسفوليبيدز. وقلنا احنا الفوسفوليبيد تتحرك. Alright? So كي تلقى الكوليسترول بيناتهم, هذا راح ينقص the movement of your phospholipids. So it will reduce what you call the fluidity of your membrane. Alright? هذا نقطة. النقطة الثانية هو إنه this cholesterol, as your colleague said, you know that the membrane, it's semi-permeable membrane, right? So cholesterol, it will be kind of another obstacle for the molecule to go inside. Okay? So هذا بيضيف أكثر we can say more selection, more selectivity حق الموليكيولز. All right? And then the other function, the last one, it will increase the strength of the cell membrane. بيكون أقل. So لأنه راح ينقص الفلويدتي, so it will make it more rigid شوي. Okay? Clear? مفهوم the three functions? Here. Is it clear? ايه. لا 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 بس الأخضر هذاك ال OH. بس ال OH is the region هذيك. والأحمر هذاك the square one. So this one, all this one, the rings and this chain, the hydrocarbon chain. So all this region is the hydrophobic. Only the OH group هو الهيدروفيليك. Okay? All right. So now we move to the third types of lipids اللي موجود في الممبرين واللي هو الجلايكوليبيدز. من اسمه جلايكوليبيد شو معناه؟ معناتها lipids وعن sugar, carbohydrate attached to it. So that's why we call it glycolipids. The glycolipids, as you can see here in the pictures, they are attached to the head of the phospholipid and they are extending out to the membrane, extending outward, facing the watery environment. Okay, they are not inside, you know, they are not inside the hydrophobic regions, all right? They are extending outside. And this, we can say, these sugar molecule, they are very important for, we can say, the cell-cell interactions, the cell-cell adhesions. Okay, مشان السيلز تتعرف على بعض and so on. Okay, واضح؟ Okay. Now we move to the second component of the membrane, which are the proteins. Okay, so what you can tell me about proteins? What do you know? شو بتعرفوا على البروتين? Yes. Some of them?
Some of them have a long lifespan.
Oh.
Some of them die quickly.
In the membrane?
Yes, outside.
Okay. What else? Yes?
They're used to allow large molecules in the glycogen to pass through the membrane.
Yes, they can function like that, correct? Like receptors. Mm-hmm. What else? What do you know about membrane? Yes. Yes, this is proteins. All right, so the definition of proteins, so they are a chain of amino acids. Okay, what else? Yes.
They have two types of protein.
Okay, what are?
Protein.
Huh?
Peripheral and integral protein.
Yes, correct. Uh-huh. What else? Protein hydrophilic? Not really. لأنه they can cross the membrane. Yes? والله ما سمعتك شو؟ Yes, definitely. That is very important for the function of the membrane. Yes.
Cell can use it to move something out or inside the cell.
Yes. So they are receptors. Okay. Yes.
Proteins are made in a complex way between the nucleus and the ribosome. So it started with the duplication of the DNA, and it will end by the ribosome, the small part.
ما فهمتك والله ما فهمتك يعني تحكي لي على الدي ان اي وانا احكي لك على سيل ممبرين.
أبغى البروتين مو البروتين.
اي سيل ممبرين تبع البروتين اللي في السيل ممبرين.
أنا قاعد أتكلم عن تصنيع البروتين.
لا لا ما نحكي على التصنيع، نحكي على التايبس اوف بروتين اللي موجودين في السيل ممبرين. Yes.
It helps maintain the cell membrane shape.
Definitely yes.
And using ATP so to take the materials of the cell.
Yeah, we're gonna see it. All right. So the proteins, they are molecules بيكونوا موجودين in the membrane. And you yes. Yes, correct. So these protein هذول موجودين في الممبرين and you have to know احنا نعرف there is a variety of cell, right? Different types of cells, all right? And each cell, it has its own, we can say, proteins. Okay? يعني ال compositions of protein of the cells تختلف من cell types to another cell types. يعني البروتين اللي تلقاهم في muscle cells مو هي اللي راح تلقاها في liver cells مثلا. Alright? So هذا اللي يخلي إنه these cells they have different functions. Okay? لأنه هذول البروتينات اللي some of them they work as receptors. So these proteins هذول they ensure the functions of the cells. Alright? في حتى cells they have proteins they are really specific to them. يعني ما راح تلقاها في أي other type of cells. Okay? تلقى فيها CD4 ولا whatever is protein بس تلقاه موجود only مثلا في الليفر. ما راح تلقاه ولا شيء لأنه sometimes we can find for example receptor موجود في cell مثلا muscle cell, liver cell, a common receptor. لكن sometimes you can find only one type which is specific for this cells. So these cells we call them, so this protein we call them marker, protein marker. So sometimes for example تسمعوا for لما نسوي تحاليل حق cancer or something, so we are looking for marker. إذا كان نلقاو هالماركرز نعرفوا للشخص هذا عنده cancer of مثلا prostate. Alright? So there is this kind of two proteins معروفين موجودين only مثلا في البروستيت. So الطبيب لما he suspected مثلا something في البروستيت he will order تحاليل حق these two types of protein. Alright? لأنه يعرف إذا كان موجودين كان في البروستيت ما راح نلقاهم في اللانكس مثلا. Okay? So لما يلقاهم عاليين so he needs so maybe he will make the diagnosis of prostate cancer or so on. All right? So that's why we call them protein marker. And they are specific for this organ. All right? For this tissue. Okay? واضح؟ مفهوم؟ All right. We have, as you said, some of you they said we have two types of protein in general. We have peripheral protein and we have integral protein. شو الفرق بيناتهم؟ البريفرال من اسمها على البريفري at the surface والintegral it cross your membrane, your bilayer membrane. It is embedded, it is inserted inside your membrane. Okay? واضح؟ البريفرال it just تلقاوها يا إما on the outer bilayer or in the inner bilayer as is shown in here. So this is the intrinsic ولا نسميهم integral protein. As you can see this is the lipid bilayer, this is the 2-phospholipid bilayer, and you see that this membrane, this protein, it is inserted. It crosses both layers. All right? This is what we call the intrinsic. The one which is peripheral, as you can see, it's like this one. Either they are attached to the phospholipids here of the inner bilayer, or they can be also attached to the integral protein, to the transmembrane protein. يعني يا اما يكونوا على الاوت ولا يكونوا في الان. Alright? واضح؟ Yes. Huh? You didn't understand? Okay. Huh? Last one? Last part? The peripheral one? البريفرال one يعني في البريفري في الحدود يا اما الاوتر والا الانر. Okay? في الاوتر for example they can be attached to one other protein which is transmembrane protein or the integral كما في الصورة هون. It can be attached here to the phospholipids. So this is the phospholipid. You see this is the tail, all right, of the phospholipid. So they can be attached to the outer membrane, all right, or they can be attached to the inner membrane, all right. So واحدة منهم يا inner يا outer, all right, and they are in the periphery. Okay? مفهوم؟ واضح؟ All right. So the last component اللي هو الكربوهيدرات حكينا عليهم already في الجلايكوليبيدز. So what you have to know, we cannot find carbohydrate itself موجود في الممبرين. Never free. يا اما it is attached to the lipids ونسميهم glycolipids ولا they are attached to the protein وهالبروتينات نسميهم glycoprotein. Okay, ما we'll never find a carbohydrate free في الممبرين لحاله. Alright, between the phospholipids or whatever. Alright, it's always attached to the lipids or it is attached to the protein. And as we said, these carbohydrates, they are very important for cell-cell interaction, for cell-cell recombinations, and so on, all right? So it's very important for the cell adhesion, all right, to make the tissue cells, okay? All right, perfect. So this is what we can say about the structure, the property of your membrane. Membrane, it is fluid. Membrane is mosaic, all right? So fluid, قلنا علاش fluid, right? Why we said that our membrane, it is fluid? لأنه فما movement. لأنه الفوسفوليبيد يتحرك. So this movement of the lipids يخلي إنه your membrane is not a rigid structure تتحرك. All right, so it has capable of movement. So that's why we said that the membrane bilayer is fluid. So the other thing, another property نقولوها إنه this membrane bilayer is a mosaic. ليش قلنا لها شيء is a mosaic؟ تعرفوا الموزايك؟ تعرفوا the small tile اللي فيه يكونوا ألوان هيك، أوكي؟ So ليش سميناها هيك؟ Yes. As if look to تاخذوا الممبرين, okay? Look at it from up. You will see a variety of molecules in your, membrane. You will find carbohydrate, you will find phospholipid, you will find different types of protein. يعني هالmixture هذي as if they are the small tile, colorful tile, so they make like صورة يعني كأنها mosaic. All right, so a variety of components of the cell membrane خلاو scientists they call or they define so your membrane as a mosaic membrane. Okay, واضح? Clear? Any question? That's it. Thank you very much. We see you tomorrow. Yes. The صور يعني؟
موزايك يعني مثل ما نقول الصورة الخارجية من فوق.
ايه كما حديت لك انا الصورة هون. This is
الصورة الخارجية.
ايه توزر هيك من فوق تلقى مثلا فرايتي.
بالنسبة حق الفلويد هذا.
الفلويد يعني خاطر تتحرك.
هو نفس الشيء لأن اللي فوق بعد بيكون يتحرك.
شو لا الفوق كيف يتحرك الفوق؟
يعني مثلا إذا بيكون السكر من فوق ما
كيف يتحرك يعني؟ السكر ما يتحرك. خاطر السكر مو لحاله مش فري هو attached to the lipids or attached to the protein. الليبيدز هما اللي يتحركوا، البروتين ما يتحركوا. So only the lipids. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.